Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 kill team video, where today I'm going over the best and worst one-box kill teams for Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video and if you found it helpful. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, an affiliate link and discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But let's get on with the video. So what is a one-box kill team? It's, well, a kill team made from a single box purchase, because, you know, there's dedicated boxes for Kill Team, and compared to games like, well, Warcry, you can actually build and run competitive teams just from a single box, which is what this video is all about. I'll be covering every team released up until now, so it's January 2024, and obviously it's only from teams from this edition, as some people are still discovering that Grey Knights and Custodes do not exist in this edition. I will cover magnetizing proxying on each team, because, you know, when I went with my starting guide, I wouldn't really recommend magnetizing. I don't like magnetizing anymore after trying it. I find it too finicky, but it is a good and efficient way to actually get one kill team, well, a full kill team out of a single box, and I'll cover it on a team by team basis. Some teams cannot be a one box at all. Like, let's just get out of this way. There are some teams which it's impossible to do, and I will be mentioning that, but I will be going from worst to best. So as I keep going on, it gets better and better. So let's get on with it. So starting off with impossible box teams, we have Wyrmblade. You cannot run them as a one box. You need at least 2 boxes of Neophyte hybrids, which is quite expensive. So that's already out of the way. Chaos Cult, you literally cannot run as a one box kill team because they never had a one box kill team release. They're made of 3 different individual boxes. So you will have to buy all 3 if you want to play this kill team. So that's also quite expensive. Then Void Dancer Troop, they are a kill team of 8 operatives, and the Void Dancer Troop box only comes with 6. If you wanted to run the kill team, you would need to buy the Void Dancer Troop box, which is the standard troop box, and then you'd need to buy a Shadow Seer and Death Jester, so effectively buying 2 boxes. And then Inquisitorial Agents is also impossible to run as a one-box kill team, because the dedicated kill team box comes with 7 operatives, 2 of which are compulsory, so you actually need 2 boxes to run an Inquisition-only kill team. But then if you wanted to run your ancillary supports, you effectively have to bring a carry case of teams, so this also is an impossible one-box team. Now, considering the list is like nearly 40 teams, having 4 that are impossible to run as a one-box team is actually pretty good, you know. And as the video goes on, I will show how you can be competitive with one box, so it's not always needing 2 boxes to be competitive. But as I said, I'll mention it as I go on. So let's look at the next teams. So starting off with Hunter Clade, they are a one-box team if you are only running pure Skitarii. They allow, if you buy a box of Skitarii, you get to build all the Skitarii options, and the kill team is made up of a Skitarii Ranger Alpha with a loadout of your choice. Then you've got a Ranger Dictat, a Ranger Surveyor, a Ranger Gunner with Arc Rifle, Plasma Caliver, and Transuranic Aquabus, and then 4 Ranger Warriors. Now, you can build either Rangers or Vanguard operatives, but I would just always go with Rangers because they get more benefits to shooting, and you're running a primarily shooting force. To expand, you will need to buy 2 to 3 boxes of Ruststalkers / Infiltrators to build 5 Infiltrators and 5 Ruststalkers. Although you probably want, if you're not magnetizing, you will need to buy another box of Ruststalkers to build the other option, because they can either build with 2 blades or blade and claw, and you kind of want to switch between both depending on who you're playing. So as a White Dwarf team, obviously it's quite difficult to build as one box and it's quite expensive, so this isn't really viable if you're running as a one box. I just wanted to put it out there in case you are tempted to try the team. Then we have Deathcore. They were never a one box team, but you can actually run them as a one box team. So if you wanted to run them as a one box kill team, you would need to run the Watchmaster with Plasma Pistol and Power Weapon, Confidant. I prefer Bolt Gun, but you can run Chainsword and Bolt Pistol. Then you've got the Gunner with Grenade Launcher, and then Melter Gun and Plasma Gun, the Medic, the Sapper, the Sniper, Spotter, and Vox Operator. So what this leaves out, so this is what's not built in the box, is the Bruiser, the Gunner with Flamer, Veteran Zealot, and 4 Troopers. For expanding, you will need a second box of Deathcore, namely to build the 4 extra troopers, because if you don't run those extra troopers, you can make 4 of your ploys free to use for the game, but that's not really worth it. This team needs 14 operatives, so, you know, before, if you didn't run the 4 operatives, you could get 2 airstrikes per game, but that wasn't even viable itself. So things hasn't really changed, but they are technically a 1-box team if you want, but that's going to be a very, very hard game for you to play. Next, we have Brood Brothers. They are technically a 1-box kill team if you're running only the Brood Bros. They are still not a full kill team, however. So if you wanted to run them as a 1-box kill team, you need to run the Commander with Las Pistol, Power Weapon, and Claw, the Agitator, Great with Paints, Gunner with Grenade Launcher, Gunner with Melter Gun, Gunner with Plasma Gun, Icon Ward, Knife Fighter, Sapper, Veteran, and Vox Operator. So this leaves out the Medic, the Sniper, the Gunner with Flamer, and 3 Troopers. For expanding, you will need 1 more box of Brood Brothers, effectively half a box, to build what's left, although it's a little bit over half, unless you're excluding the Flamer, and the Broodcoven box, which comes with all your special characters and the Psychic Familiars. So if you actually bought this kill team last edition, when it came in its box, it actually came with the Broodcoven box, which was really nice. But obviously that's not the case when they've been sold separately. So this effectively does always need the Broodcoven box. Once again, if you don't run those 3 troopers, you can make 3 ploys free, but it's not really worth it. This team doesn't function as a 1-box team, but it technically can if you are brave enough. Then you got Ratlings, so they're new on the block. They are a 1-box kill team if you run only Ratlings. But why? Like, why? So if you wanted to run them as a 1-box, you take the Fixer, the Battle Mutt, the Big Shot, the Bomber, the Hardbit, the Raider, the Sneak, the Sniper, the Spotter, the Stash Master, and the Vox Thief. For expanding, you'll need 2 boxes of Ogryns for 3 Ogryns and 3 Bullgryns. When you're building the Bullgryns, I recommend running them with the Power Maul and then building them with the Slab Shields. So because you can each game say if you want to run the Slab Shield as the Slab Shield or as the Shock Shield for parrying, for blocking. Otherwise, if you didn't want to do that all magnetized and you didn't want a proxy, you would need to buy a 3rd box if you wanted to build Bullgryns with different shields and or weapons. And then you do actually need some more Ratlings, maybe 3 to 5 more, just actually to build more warriors, because the normal warriors are the snipers, and having more general snipers is actually pretty good for this kill team. But you generally need the 2 boxes of Ogryns to run 3 Ogryns and 3 Bullgryns, which is why this team doesn't really work. I mean, if you don't run the Bullgryns or Ogryns, you can make 3 ploys 0 CP, but it's not worth it. They do not function at all as pure Ratlings unless your opponent is being really, really nice. Then we've got Blades of Khaine. They are technically a 1-box kill team if you only run Striking Scorpions. If you do this, you get to build 2 different Exarchs without magnetizing. If you're magnetizing, you get to build 3 different types of Exarchs. The kill team is a Striking Scorpion Exarch with a loadout of your choice, and then 7 Striking Scorpions. For expanding, you will need 2 boxes of Howling Banshees and 1 box of Dire Avengers. Now, the issue is running pure Striking Scorpions can kind of work, but not great, because then you get locked into Seek and Destroy and Infiltration. Ideally, you want those Howling Banshees, probably to run pure Howling Banshees, and then 1 box of Dire Avengers just to flex in to get a Dire Avenger Exarch, or 1 to 2 normal Dire Avengers. So it does become quite an expensive team. It's just depressing this couldn't be a 1-box team. It is, but then it's incredibly hard to play as a 1-box team. You really do need those Banshees. Next we go on to Warpcoven. This is also technically a 1-box kill team, and it's doable if you only run rubrics. So if you buy the rubric box, it does build all your rubric options. And if you want to run this kill team, you would run a Sorcerer with Inferno, Bolt Pistol, and Force Stave. You could also do it with the Flamer, because this is the kit that comes with the Flamer. And you can either choose to be Destiny, Imperial, or Warp Fire. Then you build a Rubric Gunner with Soul Reaper Cannon, then a Rubric Gunner with Warp Flamer, and Rubric Marine Warriors. So this actually leaves off, like, so you can then build the Icon, and then also another Gunner with Warp Flamer, and you actually have a lot of spare rubric marines to play around with. Unfortunately for expanding, you will need the Exalted Sorcerer's box because it comes with 3 different sorcerers and a Zangor box to give you 10 Zangor to play around with. This has unfortunately always been the case, although now the team is actually pretty solid when you run only rubrics, but having just one sorcerer is very, very hard. So it's technically one of the better worst one box teams. Now we've got Imperial Navy Breaches, so they are one box, but it does lack a lot of options if you go this way. And if you're building a one box kill team, you want a Sergeant of Arms with a weapon loadout of your choice, the Axe Jack, the Cat, the Endurant, the Guy Skull, the Grenadier, Gunner with Melter Gun, Gunner with Plasma Gun, Hatch Cutter, Surveyor, Void Jam, and Armsman. So what this leaves out, so what you still need to build, not from this box, but going forward, would be a Gunner with Las Volley and 2 Armsmen. And for expanding, you'll basically need to buy half a box of Imperial Navy Breaches. If you can find them on bit sites, that would be great. You don't need to buy a full team. And the other thing is you can build the gunners. If you put them on normal bodies, it's going to be quite difficult. And then just make sure the gunners are on 20mm bases. It can work as a one box team, but you do really want to be able to build the extra armsmen now just to swap around to get more playability. But they're all right. They're not in a great spot at the moment, but generally they can work as a one box kill team. Scout Squad, they are a technical one box kill team, but not great. You can build the Sergeant with the Bolt Pistol and Chainsword, the Heavy Gunner with Heavy Bolter, then the Missile Launcher, the Hunter, the Sniper, the Tracker, and 3 Warriors. Personally, I like running a Warrior with a Bolt Pistol and Chainsword and then 2 shotguns, but the Warrior selection is up to your choice. For expanding, you kind of do need to buy 1 more box of Scout Squad to basically build different kinds of Warriors. So at the moment, you are quite limited in choice, but generally I bought a second box just to build 8 more Warriors and another leader to give me more options. But now I think the only viable leader is the Bolt Pistol and Chainsword. So then you just build 9 more Warriors, because there are cases where you want to run 5 Warriors when you may drop both Heavy Gunners. So that's the only problem, but it's easier to do now because they've gone down to 9 operatives. So actually they're doable as a one box. They're okay as a one box, but if you wanted to play them more competitively, you have to buy the extra box. But if you're just playing casually, you just paying fun, you just want to mess around with them for a month or 2 or however long, or they just want to be your pickup team you play casually, one box is completely fine. It's only the second box if you want to actually be quite competitive at events. For Pathfinders, they are also a one box team if you try. If you go this way, you build the Shazui, the Assault Grenadier, the Blooded, the Comms, the Drone Controller, the Marksman, the Medical Technician, the Transpectral Interference, the Weapons Expert with Rail Rifle twice, the Gun Drone, and the Marker Drone. You will actually, from the box, have the Recon Drone left over, which you can use to swap out, which will reduce an operative as you build from your kill team selection. But that's nice, you effectively get those 13 operatives. For expanding, you will actually need 1 box of Pathfinders for some more Shazlar, as well as maybe 2 more Weapon Experts if you wanted to build Ions, although you can get around the Weapon Expert stuff with Magnets. And then if you do buy another box of normal Pathfinders, you also get 2 tactical drones. But then you will also need to buy a set of 2 more tactical drones to build all the drones. Now, this isn't actually really necessary. I think this team at the moment works fine as a single box team, but if you wanted to go further, you could. It's really weird, this team. They can actually quite solidly work as a one box, and I wouldn't even say it's worth investing in this team at the moment, but the option is there if you are interested. Now we have Kasrkin. Kasrkin are pretty much a one box kill team, so the list is starting to get better. So you've got, for a single kill team, the Sergeant with Plasma Pistol and Chainsword, the Combat Medic, the Demo Trooper, the Gunner with Grenade Launcher, then the Hotshot Volley Gun, the Melter Gun, Plasma Gun, then the Recon Trooper, the Vox Trooper, and the Trooper. For expanding, because at the moment you haven't built the Sharpshooter, that's all from one box. You will not really, so you technically need one more box, but all you really need is 2 more Kasrkin models, 1 to build a Sharpshooter and 1 to build another Trooper, right? So I did build a second box, but I won it. So you don't really need to make this a 2 box kill team. And the reason I say you run the hotshot volley gun over the sniper is because the sniper is more difficult to use, doesn't have permanent conceal, and the hotshot volley gun, when it's shooting at ready operatives, gets severe. So it means it effectively is always piercing one. And because it's more mobile and it has more shots, I think it's way better than the sniper. But if you wanted to, you could build the sniper instead of the hotshot volley gun. But that all works as a one-box team. And to be fair, the second box / 2 models isn't really that necessary. So as a middle of the road one box team, Kasrkin are pretty solid. That's why I thought, that's why I think they're great for new players, because you just build this one box and they're perfectly fine. You know, if you wanted to skew into stuff, you could build the las pistol and power weapon, maybe into Fellgor Ravager, but oddly it's not really something you're going to do very often. Then we've got Farstalker Kinband. From a single box, you can build the Kill Broker with Krew rifle, the Bow Hunter, the Cold Blood, the Cutskin, 2 Hounds, the Heavy Gunner with Dvorgite Skinner, the Long Sight, the Pistolier, Stalker, Tracker, and Warrior with Scattergun. This is actually a pretty solid one box team, and I think that would do you okay. But because of how Krew work, unfortunately they do need a second box, and they are quite difficult to magnetize due to how finicky the models are. So for expanding, you would need a second box that would let you to build another leader with a pulse rifle and melee weapon, and then more warriors and the other heavy gunner. Technically, I would just build more warriors with scatterguns because the Krew rifle isn't that good anymore. But otherwise, they actually work pretty well as a solid one box team. The Dvorgite Skinner is something you're always really going to take. The other heavy gunner you don't really take, maybe into elites on open boards, but it's not that great. I think they work as a great middle of the road one box team, but if you want to expand more, and you probably would if you wanted to take them more seriously from a competitive standpoint, you would need to get some more Krew, mainly to get more warriors, because sometimes you run only one hound or no hounds to get more warriors, or you may drop some of your other specialists to get more warriors with scatterguns. So that's just something to consider. For Exaction Squad, they also work as a middle of the road one box team. So you build the Proctor Exactant with Shot Pistol, Dominator Maul, and Assault Shield, the Castigator, the Chirurgant, the Leash Master, the Cyber Mastiff, the Malocator Marksman, Revelatum, 2 Subductors, the Vox Signifier, and the Gunner with Weber. That's a solid one box team. If you wanted to just play with that, you'd be okay. But I would recommend expanding. You would need a second box for this, just to give you more options, because this kill team basically runs a different loadout for every opponent. And for expanding, you will need a second box of Exaction Squad to build a Vigilant or 2, so your 2 basic shotgun warriors, 2 more Subductors to give you a maximum of 4, 2 other gunners, and then another leader option. So you get that to play around with. Unfortunately, that does leave you with a second Cyber Mastiff you can't use, but it's how it is, unfortunately. They are, as I said, completely playable as a one box team, but if you wanted to be more competitive and have all that flexibility at your hand to get the most out of this kill team, unfortunately you will need to buy a second box. But I've rated them quite highly in terms of like middle of the pack, because they do all right as a single box team. Then we've got Novitiates. You would build the Sister Superior with Plasma Pistol and Power Weapon, the Condemner, the Dialogus, the Duelist, the Exactor, the Hospitaller, the Penitent, the Pronatus, 2 Purgatuses, and the Reliquarius. So the only issue when you try and build 2 Purgatus is it will say in the instructions that you have to use the body of the Condemner, but you can just put the second Purgatus arms on someone else. So don't follow the build options one-to-one, but that does leave you without building the Preceptor and some warriors. So technically you need 1 more model at least, which would, if you wanted more warriors, would require buying another box, but I would just hunt around for another model. But they actually are very, very good as a one box team. Quite good at the moment, considering how balance is, but ignoring that, they actually work quite well as a one box. You would only, as I said, buy more models if you wanted to build the Preceptor, some warriors, as well as different leader options, but that's not really necessary. And if you magnetize, it's all completely one box. So this team is a little more easier to one box because of how the arms connect, so something to keep in mind if you are tempted to get into Novitiates. Then we have Wrecka Krew, one of the new teams on the block. If you wanted to go one box, I'd recommend the Boss Knob with 2 rocket pistols, 2 bomb squigs, Demolisher, Fighter, Crusher, Gunner, and Rocketeer. So the rocket tier, you can give either the pulsar rocket or rocket racks. No one's really going to care which is which. And for the gunner, it can either be the heavy rocket or the normal rocket. It's up to you. Once again, no one's really going to be finicky over that. For expanding, now, as I said, this actually works really well as a one-box team. You only really want a second box if you actually want to compete with the more top-level teams at the moment. So what you would need is another box of Wrecka Krew to build the different leader option, and then to build more warriors with hammers, and then more rocket gunners, just to give you more flexibility. It is unfortunate. If you wanted to play at the top end, you would need that. But even then, I think this loadout is pretty solid. And the only reason you would actually maybe want to buy more is just to get more fighters to drop out for the Demolisher, so you don't, well, so you're better into elite teams and some horde teams. So it's just something to keep in mind. But as a one-box team, they're very good. Really good. It's just like only that slight edge that you get from going double box is the reason why. Then we got Blooded. Blood are actually a really good one-box team in my opinion. So if you go this route, you build the Chieftain with the power weapon, then you get the Brimstone Grenadier, the Butcher, the Commsman, the Corpsman, the Flenser, the Melter Gun, the Plasma Gun, the Sharpshooter, Thug, Enforcer, and Ogrin. That's everything from one single box. But for expanding, unfortunately, you will need to buy another Blooded box or raid a bit box, you know, like go on bit sites. I actually use Blackstone Fortress to build my remaining Blooded, but you can get around not having to do that. But if you want to expand, you will kind of need to build the Enforcer, 4 Troopers, and then the remaining Gunner and Leader options. So you could build a Leader with a Plasma Pistol and improvised weapon, and then build a grenade launcher to play around with that, because you can only take 2 gunners. But I think the loadout I posted is something that works really well as a one-box team. And the only other time you want the 4 troopers is because sometimes you may drop the Ogrin or the Enforcer for 2 troopers each. So there's like some missions where you may drop the Enforcer to take the Ogrin and 2 troopers, or you drop the Ogrin to take the Enforcer and 2 troopers, or you drop both the Ogrin and the Enforcer to take 4 troopers. That's not really as important now, which is why I think the one box works a lot better. And to be fair, it's kind of really how Brood Brothers should have been. But as a one box team, it's very good. Then we got Hierotek Circle. They are actually a one box team if you run just the Technomancer. Running them this way, you run the Technomancer, the Plasma Sight Accelerator, Reanimator, the Apprentech, the Despotech, Deathmark, and 2 Guardians. So personally, I'd run the Despotech and Guardians with Tesla, but once again, you can either magnetize or proxy with your opponent saying they all have Tesla this time, or they all have Gorse. Then for expanding, unfortunately, you'll just need to buy 1 box of Immortal / Deathmarks to build more of each. Generally, I like to build... I've built the other versions of the Immortals with the appropriate guns, and then I run two Deathmarks. Although you may want to build 4 more to run 5 Deathmarks, but it's up to you. And then you have to buy the Chronomancer or Psychomancer. So those are actually necessary to make this team really powerful, because you actually get the most out of the team with the Chronomancer or Psychomancer. But at the moment, because the Technomancer is actually very good, this team's a lot better as a single box kill team, which is why I rated it quite high. I think, you know, if you're just running around with the Technomancer healing and like blasting stuff away, you can have a lot of fun with this kill team, which you actually couldn't do last edition, which is very nice. Then we've got Hearthkyn Salvager. For this kill team, if you wanted 1 box, I'd run the Thane with a Plasma Pistol and Plasma Weapon, the Grenadier, the Gunner with Plasma Beamer, Gunner with Rotary Cannon, and Gunner with Missile Launcher, the Jump Pack Warrior, the Kinlink, the Cognitor, Lugger, and Locator. So that gives you 10 operatives. For expanding, you will need to buy 1 normal box of Hearthkyn Warriors, so not the Salvager kill team box, just the normal Hearthkyn Warriors, which is a little bit cheaper, and that would build you the Dozer, the Field Medic, and the remaining Gunner options, as well as different leader options. Now, if you're magnetizing, this actually makes this a 1-box kill team, pretty much, so that's something to keep in mind. Although, personally, I think you kind of do need the extra box, just because it's a bit difficult to magnetize other people into the Dozer and Field Medic, just because of how tight this team is. But even then, as this 1-box loadout is very good. Really good all round. Technically, I would just build them all with 1 gun loadout, because some operatives can either take the bolt gun or the Ion Blaster, and then just go to your opponent. Okay, this time, this game they all have Bolt, this game they all have Ion. That's just something to keep in mind. But as a one-box team, they're actually pretty good, and Magnets effectively make them a one-box super team. Then we've got Hernkyn Yaegir, who work really well as a one-box team. So from a one-box, you build the Thain, Bladekin, Bombast, Gunner, Ironbreak, Riflekin, Tracker, Warrior with Plasma Knife twice, and then a Warrior with a Bolt Shotgun. For expanding, you only really need half a box of Hernkyn Yaegirs, so you need 5. And this is just to build the remaining warriors, because sometimes I actually like running 3 warriors with shotguns and 3 warriors with plasma knives, or maybe dropping another specialist to run 4 warriors, but generally you only really need 3. It's one box with magnets. This team is super easy to magnetize. The leader is just 1 mono pose, and then the warriors, they're the ones you need to magnetize to either give them plasma knives or warriors with bolt shotguns. And to be fair, this team is really, really solid out of the box. So I think if you're going the magnet route, it's a perfect one-box team. Then we get to Phobos Strike Team. These are like the Paradox one-box teams. So one box is doable if you don't run any Reavers. And if you're not running any Reavers, you actually get to build 2 different leader options from the box. So if you buy the Phobos Strike Team Kill Team box, you can build the Incursor Sergeant, the Commsman, the Veteran, the Marksman, Mine Layer, and then Incursor Warrior. So this leaves out the Infiltrator Sergeant, the Helix Adept, the Saboteur, and the Voxbreaker, and that's all one box, so you can actually play and swap around with those, and that's actually a pretty solid team. Reavers aren't as good as they used to be, and now Incursors are really, really good, but you've got enough Infiltrators there to get enough of Omni Scramble, and the Warrior is really good because they can do a mission action for 1 AP less once per turning point, which is really, really solid. For expanding, you will need to get 5 more Reavers, which is quite doable via eBay, to give you a Reaver Sergeant and then more Reaver Warriors. So you would probably have to buy, well, you don't have to buy, it's nice to buy 5 more Infiltrators and Incursors, which is once again very doable via eBay, to give you just more Warriors. But personally, I probably wouldn't build the Voxbreaker, I probably wouldn't build the Saboteur and just run him as an Incursor Warrior. Because what you could also do, if you're magnetizing, it becomes once again a perfect one-box team. And, no one really cares about the head, so you can quite easily run Incursor Warriors as Infiltrator Warriors. You just have to be clear with your opponent at the start of the game. And as I said, running as a one-box is actually really, really good. The Reavers, if you're running Reavers, you may take the Reaver Sergeant, but actually you may take like 1 Reaver Warrior or 2 Reaver Warriors. So if you're buying Reavers, you only ever run 2 at most. There are some meme builds where you can go 6 Reavers, but it's not as good as it was last edition, even though the team has been buffed a bit overall in terms of melee output. So it's something to keep in mind. So this is why I call it like a Paradox one-box team. It's really, really strong, but going the little bit further with getting those Reavers helps a little bit, but not as much as it did last edition, which is why I rate them quite highly. Then we've got Angels of Death, which are the ultimate Paradox one-box kill team. One box is doable if you're running only the starter set content. So this is everything that comes in the kill team starter set. You just run the Captain, the Assault Intercessor Warrior, the Eliminator Sniper, Intercessor Warrior, ×3, and that's counting one of the bolt gun sergeants as a warrior, so that gives you the full kill team. It leaves out the heavy intercessor gunner because you can't run their sniper and the heavy gunner together, so you can just swap around each game, so that actually gives you a different model to play around with. Personally, I would run the bolt guns as Stalker bolt rifles, but I'd recommend watching my guide on this kill team, which would give you a better breakdown on which bolt guns to run. For expanding, you will need to get 5 more assault intercessors and 5 more normal intercessors. Once again, you can do this via eBay, or if your friend is also getting Angels of Death, what you can do is you can both buy 5 assault intercessors and 5 intercessors and then split the box between each other. Because what that'll do, you need those 5 assault intercessors and 5 normal intercessors to give you the remaining specialists and also an intercessor sergeant and assault intercessor sergeant. So that's all the options. But to be honest, running it as the starter set is really, really good. The only thing you do really miss out is the heavy gunner, well, the normal gunner and the grenadier, but you can kind of get away with running the smoke grenade as your grenadier, although, it is a bit of a leeway, so you have to keep in mind of that. But otherwise, they're still very solid as the starter set contents on its own, just because you get the sniper and the captain, who are amazing operatives. But yes, if you do want to be competitive, you will have to buy the Assault Intercessors and Intercessors. But if you're starting out and just want to learn Kill Team and just play the game normally, you will only ever need the starter set contents, which is amazing. Now we come to Hand of the Archon. So from a single box, you can build the Arch Cyber with Splinter Pistol and Power Weapon, a normal agent, the Crimson Duelist, the Disciple of Ylendra, the Elixirkant, the Flayer, the Gunner with Blaster, Heavy Gunner with Dark Lance, and the Sky Splinter Assassin. So this does leave you with 1 spare operative in the box, because this is a 9 operative kill team and you get 10 in the box. So you can either use that last spare operative to be built either as another leader with a Venom Blade and Blast Pistol, a Gunner with Shredder, or a Heavy Gunner with Splinter Cannon or normal agent. Personally, I would probably recommend building another, I think, Gunner, so you can build the Shredder instead, but something to keep in mind. For expanding, you would need to buy 1 more box of normal Cabalite Warriors to build what's left, namely Warriors and then whatever options you did not build from that spare option you had. However, if you are using Magnets, this is a 1-box kill team. They have flat connection points to the arms, so if you're using Magnets, it's very easy. Like, Magnets means your leader has whatever option they have, as well as the Gunner and Heavy Gunner. So if you're building with Magnets, a 1-box kill team. Completely perfect as a 1-box kill team. If not, you will have to buy a second box. But that's why I've rated it so highly. With Magnets, 1-box team, very, very flexible. Without Magnets, you do have to buy a second box. Then for Corsair Voidscarred, if you are running this as a single box kill team, you need to build the Fellark with the Neurodisruptor and Power Weapon, the Gunner with Shredder, Gunner with Wraith Cannon, the Kanathi, the Kernite Hunter, the Shade Runner, the Soul Weaver, the Starstorm Duelist, and the Wayseeker. And this leaves out the Fate Dealer from the box. I would recommend building the Fate Dealer, but if you didn't want to build the Fate Dealer, you could build the Gunner with Blaster, but then it causes weird syncing issues because you can't run the Gunner with Blaster and the Wraith Cannon together. So that's why I'd recommend building the Fate Dealer. For expanding, if you didn't want to use Magnets, you would need to buy another box of Corsairs, and ideally only 5 more Corsairs, just to build your different Gunner options and some Warriors. But if you never plan to run Warriors, and Warriors aren't even like necessary, you may need to run 1 Warrior, maybe. But if you're running with Magnets, once again, you can swap your Gunners around and Heavy Gunners around, so there's no real issue. You can also just tell your opponent what gun your Gunner has, because unless you're a dedicated Eldari fan, no one really knows the difference between a Shredder and a Blaster, unfortunately. Only us, as the enlightened Eldari players, do, but our silly Monkai opponents won't understand, so that's a benefit of just like going visually, no one understands except us. But otherwise, yeah, they're a really great 1-box team and very, very solid. For Mandrakes, now this is where we're getting to the best 1-box teams. So from a single box, you build the Night Fiend, the Abyssal, the Choosers of Flesh, Dirgemaw, Shade Weaver, then 4 Warriors. What's left over is 1 Warrior for you to practice painting on. It's a perfect 1-box team. The only problem with this kill team is it's very hard to play. The rules are very confusing, to be honest, when you get started, and it's very hard to tell your models apart, even for us enlightened Eldari players. But honestly, this is a great 1-box team. You literally have 1 spare model to do whatever you want with, but something to keep in mind. The main problem with this 1-box kill team is it's very hard to play, but literally, if you wanted to get into the game and you didn't mind a bit of an uphill challenge, Mandrakes are the perfect team for you. Then we've got Fellgor Ravager. So from a single box, you would build the Ironhorn with the Bolt Pistol and, well, the Tainted Pistol and Chainsword, the Death Knell, the Flux Spray, the Gnarlscar, the Gorehorn, the Herd Goad, Mangler, Shaman, Toxhorn, and Vandals. That's all the specialists. For expanding, you would need to buy 1 more box of Fellgor Ravager just to build Warriors and maybe the leader with Plasma Pistol because you wanted to shoot stuff. But it's really not necessary. The only reason you'd want to is if you're terrified of Exaction and you want to get as much brutal as possible, but it's not really necessary. This is effectively a 1-box kill team. Like, it is a bit difficult to magnetize, but I don't even think you need to magnetize. You just run what I've said, and that's perfect. You generally don't need to add anything to this kill team. It's very, very good as a 1-box kill team. The only difficulty is actually playing it because you have to learn that your biggest threat range is 8 inches. and your shooting is effectively abysmal. So you have to learn how to play a dedicated melee team, which can skew you if you want to learn different kinds of teams going forward, which have more shooting or focus on more shooting. But otherwise, great as a one-box kill team. Then we have Kommandos. So as a one-box, you'd build the Boss Knob with the Chopper, the Bomb Squig, the Grot, a Boy, a Breacher Boy, a Burner Boy, a Comms Boy, a Dagger Boy, a Rocket Boy, Slasher Boy, and Sniper Boy. This leaves out one Boy. So you can, if you wanted to use that Boy, you could actually drop the Burner Boy, or you can drop the Bomb Squig and the Grot to run that extra Boy. So you actually get a lot of flexibility, and it teaches you more about when to run different operatives or not, which is really, really good. For expanding, you barely need one box of Kommandos, mainly for more boys. Like you may run 1 to 2 or 3 more normal boys, and you may want the Boss Knob with the Power Claw, but once again, as long as you just tell people what you're running each game on your knob, no one really cares too much. But you know what this means? So that is a one-box kill team there, boss. It's a good one. So yeah, you know, it's perfect. It's great. Like, that's why I rate this team so highly. It's great for new players. You build everything from the box, and you always have one model to play around with and swap. It's perfect. They're so good. Okay, this is where we get a bit shaky onto one-box kill teams, because they're one-box kill teams, but they're not necessarily good kill teams. So, unfortunately, we have the Gellerpox Infected. You literally get all the operatives in the box. If I remember correctly, you get like 17 operatives in this box. You just decide which mutoid vermin you want to run. You actually get more than 17. You get a lot more operatives, but you can, as for 1 equipment point each, which you can do up to twice, you can select 2 mutoid vermin, and you get 5 of each mutoid vermin. So you will have leftover models. It's a one-box team. It's literally always been a one-box team. You physically can't run any more models or any, like, you could run less. But yeah, it's one box. If you can find Gellerpox Infected, unfortunately they don't exist in terms of actually being able to buy. But if you have them or you can get them, you will only need to buy the box, and you have everything you'll ever need to play this kill team. So now we have Elucidian Starstriders. You once again get all the operatives in the box. It's like what I said for Gellerpox, but if you were more flimsy space pirates. The only thing, unfortunately, you will have to do if you play Elucidian Starstriders, if you're a really cool Elucidian Starstrider, you will have to buy a starship. Some kind of space vessel to represent your orbital assets. It helps you go pew-pew with your airstrikes, but also it lets you branch into this enlightened group of players, of Starstrider players, who, when they meet at events or online, they compare their starships, and they go like, that's a nice starship, I've bought a Valkyrie, what are you running? And then I would go, here's my Lunar-class cruiser from Battlefleet Gothic, and they go, damn. Right? You just wanna specialize in what kind of ship you are running. And obviously the bigger, it doesn't really matter about size, like, because, you know, I've got Battlefleet Gothic ship, but it's really rare. And the Lunar class cruiser is really huge, really huge. But obviously, like, I've seen some people run like the Deathwatch ship or Valkyries, but nothing really beats a Battlefleet Gothic spaceship. Or you could somehow go crazy and buy. Anyway, there's lots of ways you can go down with this route, but it's a great one-box kill team. Then we've got Vespid Stingwing. Literally, from a one-box, you build the Strain Leader, the Oversight Drone, the Long Sting, the Shade Strain, the Sky Blast, the Swarm Guard, and then 4 warriors. What's left over is 1 warrior for you to swap around for the Swarm Guard. So some games you won't run the Swarm Guard, you would run another warrior, namely into elites, but that does mean you have an operative to play around with each game. So it's buzz perfection. Amazing. Like, obviously Vespid aren't the best team right now, but they could be one day. But if you've bought the starter set or plan to buy them, it's good to know you only ever need 1 box, which is amazing. Then we've got Tempestus Aquilons. For a single kill team, I'd recommend the Tempesta with Las Pistol and Power Weapon, the Grenadier, the Gunfighter, Gunner with Melter Carbine, Gunner with Plasma Carbine, Precursor, Servo Sentry with Grenade Launcher, or Hotshot Volley Gun, then also 3 Troopers. This actually leaves over 1 Marksman for you to swap around with the Servo Sentry. And for the Servo Sentry, its guns are push fit, so you don't even have to glue them in. So amazing. It's a 1-box kill team. The only issue you are going to run around with is trying to fit both different melter and plasma options onto 2 different models, because unfortunately the plasma gun and melter gun use the same like holstering arm for the left arm, but you can make it work with a different arm from a normal las carbine, so it's something to keep in mind. But otherwise it's one box, and it's a really good one box because Tempestus Aquilons are one of the better kill teams in the game at the moment, in my opinion. They're very, very good. So this is a great one box kill team, and it's really nice that both the Vespid and Tempestus Aquilons, who are both starter kill teams, are actually one box kill teams. Because one thing I actually get a lot of complaints about is like they go, Games Workshop are only releasing kill teams where you have to buy a second box, completely ignoring that Hivestorm released kill teams that only need one box. They're great, really, really good. Then we get Nemesis Claw. From a single box, you can build the Visionary with Plasma Pistol and Nostraman Chainblade, the Fearmonger with, and then the Gunner with Melter Gunner, the Screecher, the Skin Thief, and the Ventriloquist. So what's left over is 2 Heavy Gunners and 1 Warrior with a Bolt Pistol and Chainsword, and a Visionary with a Power Weapon. I don't think it's worth running the Plasma Gun, but if you wanted to, you could not build the Heavy Bolter or the Missile Launcher and build the Plasma Gun. It's up to you, but you do get some choice because it's a 10 model kit and you only run 6 operatives at a time. You don't really need anything else. It's amazing one box team. You could even like ignore the Heavy Gunners and build more Warriors. And if you're running with Magnets, wow, look, it's a perfect one box team as well. So that's really, really good. Chaos Space Marines are showing these Imperial guys and everyone else how one box teams are really done. So Nemesis Claw, a great buy-in if you're a new player. Legionary. So if you're building Legionary from a single box, you build the Chosen with Plasma Pistol, which you can also run as the Champion with the Plasma Pistol and Power Weapon. Anointed Balefire, Gunner with Melter Gun, Icon Bearer, Bolt Pistol and Chainsword, and then the Shrive Talon. So what's left over is a Heavy Gunner with a Heavy Bolter, 2 Warriors with Bolt Pistol and Chainswords, and then a Leader with Power Weapon and Bolt Pistol, because that means you can now run it as the Chosen with Bolt Pistol or the Champion with Bolt Pistol. Now this isn't locked in. Once again, with whatever's left over, you can flex around however you want. That's just what I recommend. But there's unfortunately still no reason to run the Butcher. The Butcher is really, really nice. And if you wanted to paint one, you can build it and paint it and go like, wow, look how great the Butcher looks. You will not run it though. And remember, you don't have to paint the marks on. You can just say which marks they have, which is really, really nice. Obviously, if you wanted to paint more, you could stylize your models more, but it's not necessary. And then if you're really like a high class fancy player who doesn't mind splashing out on his models, you can, or their models, you consider Forge World if you want to be fancy. I've bought a lot of Forge World characters and converted them into Legionary models and characters. It's something to keep in mind, but generally they're perfect as a one box team. And once again, if you're using magnets, it's amazing. So, and oddly, you could actually probably run them as Nemesis Claw, especially if you're using magnets. So something to keep in mind for that double dipping. Then we got Plague Marines. They are the best one-box kill team. They are 7 operatives with 6 you can use each game. So you're running the Champion and then 5 operatives of your choice. So you're either dropping usually the Heavy Gunner or the Warrior, but you just play around and find out which is best for you. And there are no more purchases needed. I know some people are quite upset that you don't get to build them from the Plague Marine box in terms of like building all this stuff. But they're so solid. They're the so solid Nurgle crew. But they're really, really good. Great one-box team. Really amazing. You just need to get the starter set, which is a bit difficult at the moment. But otherwise, they're an amazing kill team. One I highly recommend. And they are the best one-box kill team. The only struggle is getting the starter set. But otherwise, they're the best around. So for the best and worst overview, as I said, I started from the worst kill teams, literally impossible kill teams, going to the best. And I know a lot of people get upset that they do feel you need to buy a second box for kill teams to be fully competitive, but you have to remember that's only if you wanted to compete high level at events. If you just want to play like monthly, you're playing casually, or you're playing at tournaments now and again, you're not taking it too seriously, too competitively, there's no need to actually buy a second kill team box most of the time. And if you've seen with this guide that I've gone through, magnets actually get around the issue quite well. As I said, personally, I'm not a fan of magnetizing stuff. It makes it more difficult to actually build and paint stuff. but it's a great solution to have. And, you know, it works. Like, I've seen a lot of people who magnetize, and that actually makes those 2-box kill teams work as a single box kill team. And what I've tried to do with this video is not only tell you what's the best and worst 1-box kill team, but also give you the loadout to try and use that kill team if you wanted to run them as a single purchase, just to help you give you the best loadout for you to run that will give you the best chance when you're playing your games, whether it be casually or competitively. Now, personally, as I said, if you're just focusing on one team, I think it's a great reason to actually buy a second box, to expand it, to give you more options to play around with if you're planning to stick with that kill team. But I know obviously it's quite difficult to do that financially. It's not for everyone, and some people like to hop around teams. And as I said, magnet swap will fix a lot of your issues. But with a lot more teams, a lot of them work from just one box. Like, as you can see with the Vespid and the Tempestus Aquilons, they're a perfect 1-box kill team. The Aquilons just need some work physically, but otherwise they're great. And then all the elite kill teams, at least on the Chaos side, work very easily as a 1-box kill team, which is really nice. And as some teams from last edition, which didn't really work as a 1-box team, namely Hierotek Circle, because of how the changes they've had this edition, now work pretty well as a 1-box kill team. Hierotek Circle. So it does look like Games Workshop are learning, which is really, really good to see. So this video is to help new players, but also kind of to balance out the people who constantly post and decry that new teams are only made to work with 2 boxes in mind, which I don't think is generally a reason when it comes to the design process. But hopefully this helped. As I said, it's mainly for new players, but also if you're looking around to hop into teams. So if, you know, you actually want to try out another team, but were a bit hesitant because you thought you needed to buy 2 boxes to get the most out of it, hopefully this video helps with that, as well as new players and old players alike. So hopefully this was really helpful. It's a very long video, I think nearly 50 minutes. I'll edit it down as much as I can. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it helpful and useful? Remember, let me know what other 1-box ways to build, or anything I've left out, or anything you thought which was really good. And remember, I've got Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, an affiliate link and discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'm just going to shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Zombie Businessman, Tom, Super Cow, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, John Thomas, Jeremiah, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meatsworld, Darcy, Dad of Goldens, Chris, Morpheum, and then for my veterans of the crit, I have Sam, Joe, and Mark. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me today. This is a video I wanted to do for a while. I've pushed it up a bit because this might be balanced data slate week. But if not, I have some other videos coming out. I actually took some time on my brief time off over Christmas to actually brainstorm a lot of videos I wanted to do. So now I have a solid list of stuff I want to cover, as well as stuff that's been requested by my patrons. A lot of the stuff holding me back is just the balanced data slate. So once that gets done, I can just like plow through content. But remember, no matter how good or bad your kill team is as a 1-box kill team, there's always a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.